You're listening to Parasearch Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Evening, guys. It's Sam. I'm back, obviously, for the usual Thursday show. It's Thursday already, which means it's Christmas next week already. And on my own tonight, obviously, I have the guest, which I shall introduce to you in a minute. But yeah, guys, if you're listening in, you know there's a chat room and everything. Get questions in, and I'm sure I'll pass them on to tonight's guest. And I will introduce tonight's guest without further ado, and we welcome back Greig Chandler this evening.
Hello.
Evening. Don't know what that accent was then.
Good evening. Hello. Yes, I'm back, and I cannot believe. How long has it been? 8 months? 7 months?
Something like that, yeah.
That's gone really quickly to me,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it will, because obviously you've moved in that, haven't you? So.
Yes, big move. Yeah, like 400-mile move. Yes, down into Cornwall, or the locals like to say Coronel.
So you by the sea then?
Almost. So we're in St Austell now, and our nearest harbour is about a mile and a half away. Charlestown Harbour. Any listeners or any fans of Poldark? Now, I know if Laurie Schaefer is listening, she'll know exactly what I mean when I say Poldark. So yeah, Charlestown Harbour is our nearest harbour, which is it's so lovely just to go down there and have a little walk, have a little meal, have a little walk around the harbour. It's just really lovely. It's a whole different way of life down here. Is a lot slower. People are friendly, like really friendly. People have a bit more time to have a conversation. So I still kind of feel I'm on holiday a little bit, kind of pinching myself because we've only been down here for about 9 weeks, so a couple of months, but we're settling in very nicely. So yeah, so it's good to be down here.
That's gone pretty quick now, though, hasn't it? 'Cause 9 weeks, God.
Yeah, because we moved in. When did we move in? Yeah, we moved in October 2nd, but we were only in the house for about 4 days, and then we flew off to the States because I've got family in the States, and my eldest niece was getting married, so we were in the States for 2 weeks, and then we came back after that. So I guess even though we moved in like 9 weeks ago, I guess we've only actually been living in the house for maybe six weeks in total, 7 weeks. So it's not very long, but we've made it. We're kind of making it our own now. It's becoming not just a house but a home. It's been really interesting. And of course, I can't move into a house without a paranormal connotation. So what was quite funny is I did one of my Fright Night Surrey events back in September, actually, and the medium, she's a lovely medium, and we were dropping her home, and before we said goodbye, she said to me, look, there's a lady, in your house. So I was like, what? Okay. And she said, she's kind of sticking around, and I don't think that's very healthy, and she needs a bit of help passing over. Now, Steve, my other half, and I looked at each other like wide-eyed in the car because the previous owner of the house, sadly, his wife passed away earlier this year, and that's why he was moving out, because he didn't want to be in the house on his own. So we were shocked, the fact that the medium had no idea about this. She had no idea where we were moving to at that point. any idea of who was in the house, or whatever. But she said there's a lady there, and she's not quite ready to let go. She might need some help. So, I was like, oh God, here we go again. I can't even move into a house without something like, paranormal happening. So I just took some advice from her and another lovely medium, and I got some white Californian sage and a nice seashell that came with it. So I did a cleansing of the house when we moved in, and said some words and words of encouragement. And for myself, being I'm not a medium. I never say I was a medium, but being a sensitive. Even when we looked around the house, first of all, I didn't know about the seller's wife passing away, but I did sense there was something there. There was some presence there in the house, and it wasn't bad. It was just there, nice and everything. Kind of knowing, kind of the feeling of being watched and things, and getting kind of goosies. And I thought this is strange because it's in the middle of the summer. So I did a cleansing, and it was really lovely. And the next day it was just much lighter, and I actually did another one. When did I do that? I did another one about 3 weeks ago, after we came back from the States, because the house had been empty for a couple of weeks. So just in case anybody kind of snuck back in, I did another cleansing. And it's been really good. It's a really good atmosphere in this house. It's probably one of the houses I've been in where it's just a really good vibe.
Yeah.
And that's really good. When you're moving into a new house, you want to settle in and you don't want to be, worried about anything. But the house is really good. It's got a great feeling. It's very homely, and we've started to make it our own now with our first. We're looking forward to our first Christmas in our new house. So yeah, very happy.
So you've answered my question. That was the question I was going to ask you, because your household needs.
Well, do you know what? We had a lot of cards from people, saying, congratulations on your new home. And I had I've forgotten who the card was from, actually. Have I got it still here somewhere? Where's the cards? Let me see if I've got the card somewhere. Oh, no, I don't have the card somewhere. But someone, here it is. Hang on. Is it here? Someone sent us a card saying, congratulations on your new home. I hope it's haunted. And I was like, there's a friend of ours, and I was like, that's just absolutely typical. Not that I really wanted to move into a house that was haunted. I'm quite happy, investigating and then just leaving them there. I don't want to be surrounded by them all the time. So that was quite funny. But no, it's all good. Very nice, very good. Yeah.
That's the thing though, isn't it? Like, because some people, if even if they are into the paranormal, if they move into a house and it's haunted, you kind of want that switch off, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't. I would say envious. I'm not envious of. There's some people. I don't know. There's some people I know. They may know who they are. Some people I know that live in houses that have reported paranormal activity or activity that cannot be explained rationally. And for someone who does this, all the time, I'm so into this now, and I do this a lot. I don't think I would be, comfortable in coming back to a house with it going on as well around me, if you know what I mean. I mean, I know maybe there's some mediums out there, or psychics that live in houses, and I guess they go through a path of training and dealing with spirits around them all the time, and know how to tell them to back off or go away. But it's nice to come home and away from that situation and not have to worry about spirits or entities being around when you're not investigating. I mean, I've had a few followers in the past, but no, it's nice to come back to a home that I don't have to worry about. If I'm being watched or being watched, or when I'm sleeping, there's some kind of big shadow figure watching me when I'm in bed or something like that. I mean, there could be, I don't know, but I don't feel that anyway. So that's quite nice to be detached from that,
Yeah. So it's like, if obviously, because so if weird things happened in your house, or
No, nothing at all. I mean, in our previous house, I did. Well, one of my many investigations of the, I don't know whether to say famous or infamous Ancient Ram Inn. I think we all know that place. I think it was the second or third time I was there. I was a bit naughty, to be honest. I was a bit in my rookie days, and I was a bit confrontational with a well-known spirit at the Ancient Ram Inn, and I called him out on something. The next kind of 3 days back at home, our previous home, I was very aware of a heaviness, an oppressive atmosphere, of feeling watched, shadows. And at one point, I was one night before bed, I was just cleaning my teeth. The doors were, closed. The windows were closed. There was no drafts or anything. It was the middle of winter. It was freezing, and the bathroom door just slammed shut. And this was kind of the third night after investigating Ancient Ram Inn. And then when I was asleep, I woke up. I had kind of like sleep paralysis. Where I couldn't move, I couldn't scream, I couldn't breathe. And then I looked towards the bedroom door, and I didn't see a door, but just a large shadow figure that came to me, and just I couldn't breathe. I don't think there's 100% proof of what sleep paralysis is. Is it scientific? Is it something to do with the brain? Is it paranormal? I just think it was weird, the fact that it happened after I investigated the Ancient Ram Inn. So I managed to kind of break out of it. And when I looked at the bedroom door wasn't closed, it was open. And after that, I kind of like said out loud, look, I'm so sorry. Look, I'm so sorry. I know you followed me home. And I'm sorry that I disrespected you. I'm sorry I called you out. I'm sorry that I pushed you. Please forgive me, and please just, go back to where you came from. If it's the ram, then go back to the ram. I'm really sorry. And what was interesting is I went back to the ram about 4 or 5 months later, and asked out if the same spirit was there. Given this particular spirit likes to communicate by knocking very intelligently, and I said, if this spirit is here, and if you did follow me home, can you give me 3 taps? And we got 3 taps. And it said, did you, do you forgive me of what I did? Can you give me 2 taps for yes, once for no? It gave me 1 tap. So I was like, oh my God, please, I don't want you to follow me home again. So I actually got down on 2 knees because I was so unnerved, and it really kind of shook me up. So I actually got down under 2 knees in the barn and said, look, put my hands together. I went, I'm really sorry. I disrespected you. It was out of line. I don't mean you any harm. I'm sincerely, forgive me. And there was nothing. And then there was a cold breeze that shot straight through me. And I said, do you forgive me now? 2 knocks for yes, once for no. And it was 2 loud knocks in the barn. So I think maybe I had to be face to face with the spirit, figuratively speaking, face to face. I couldn't see him, but I've there's been a couple of occasions where I've got a bit too big for my boots, to be honest. But I've learned from those mistakes. I truly have. So I because I've had that at home, and I don't particularly want that again. So I mean, I know that you see TV shows or you go on investigation, they say, don't worry, they won't follow you home. And I think maybe they say that to kind of newbies and rookies, not to kind of freak them out. But to be honest, if these spirits are grounded and they enjoy being at the place and you're respectful, then I think that sticks. But I think if you are going to push them, I mean, if you're going to, even if, when you're alive and you're speaking to someone you're alive, if you're going to push them, disrespect them, swear at them, or, wind them up, then you're not going to get a very nice kind of positive return. I think that is the same way in the spirit world. So, I definitely convinced that, something from that place followed me home, and I learnt my lesson from that. So, yeah. Never. No, I won't be doing that again.
Yeah, I find out like with a lot of my friends, like they won't come on a ghost hunt because they're scared of something following them home. And say like when I'm at work, when I've been on a ghost hunt, I come into work and something happens and they're like, Sam! And I'm like, well, then you can't just blame me. We are in like a care home, you know.
Yeah, you always get blamed. They're like, you're the one who doubles in the paranoia. It's your fault. It's your fault. Why did you bring that thing here? You know.
Yeah. So I want to, obviously, because we've spoke a little bit, I want you to find out more what happened to you when you were a teenager.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
The paranormal stuff, not any other stuff, Greg. Don't worry.
let me let me get in my time machine and go back a fair few years. I'm not that old, honestly. So nothing. I didn't. You know, I think some people say this. I didn't believe. I was in ghosts or spirits or anything like that when I was younger. I couldn't even watch horror films or anything like that because I was scared of the dark. Since I was a young person, I don't know why. Even today, I would admit on radio that I still sleep with the nightlight on. Please don't laugh. But yeah, it was just, I was about 12 years old and we were living in about a house that was built around the 1900s. And just strange things started happening. When you lose your car keys and it's because you've just forgotten where you've put them. But it was more than that. It was car keys. It was books. It was, things in the kitchen or, ornaments would just not be in the places that you remember putting them. And being that age, it was just down to you can't remember. And I kind of brushed that off for a few months, And the first time I thought something else otherworldly might be in play was my brother had a friend to stay over, and his friend slept on a mattress on the floor in the bedroom. And in my brother's bedroom, there was about 6 or 7 pictures on the wall. And in the morning, when they woke up, the pictures were no longer on the wall, but they were in a circle around my brother's mattress, my friend on his mattress on the floor. And I thought, was it my brother just playing a prank? But my brother was just as freaked out. And my brother's friend left pretty promptly that morning. And that was just brushed off. My parents didn't know about it. And I said to my brother, what? Did you hear anything? Did you see it? Did anything wake you up? And he was like, no, we just woke up and saw the pictures around the mattress on the floor. So that was that. And then I guess there was quite a lot of, big time intervals between what happened. I guess a month later, I was woken up by kind of a door squeaking. And I opened up and my bedroom door had opened. And I thought, because we had cats and dogs at a point, so I thought, might be one of them, but I kind of had a look around and as far as I was aware, the cats and dogs were asleep. So I closed my bedroom door and I kind of drifted off sleep and suddenly I heard that sound again. And when I woke up, I had a lot of teddies when I was younger, and one of them was just sitting like on the duvet on my chest. And I just I kind of freaked out and just kind of knocked it off on the floor. And I thought, this is weird. So I got up and I thought, is my brother or is it my dad, my stepdad playing tricks? I just don't know. And then I started thinking, what is going on? So I then started, obviously back then, I'm not going to kind of give away my age, but back then there was no Google. And there was very, very little internet, if I must say. So I just went to the library. Yes, the library. We had those back then. I looked up at the library about kind of ghosts and things like that. I started reading, and then I found a chapter about poltergeists. And there was, at that stage, there was still not very much known about poltergeist and where they come from, who are they, what are they. They're about being mischievous and moving things and hiding things and playing games. So I thought, okay, that's okay. I'm open to this. Maybe it might be something like that. So we then went on holiday, and when we came back, our neighbour across the street came running across the street, banged on the door and said, "You were away the whole 2 weeks, weren't you? There was nobody house sitting." And we were like, "No, why?" They said, "Well, some nights your lights were flashing in your house, and also we had heard like banging or noises, like your washing machine was on or whatever." And we were like, "This is just freaky." And what was interesting is the next time we got our utilities bill, our electric and gas bill was through the roof, but we were away for a lot of that month. So that was really crazy. And I said to my mum and stepdad, I said, "Look, something weird is going on in this house." So I said, "It's been going on for months." They're like, "What? What do you mean months?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, why didn't you say anything?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I brushed it off. I thought maybe it was the dogs or cats. Maybe it was my brother just mucking around." So that was just really weird. They kind of dismissed it until about 2 or 3 weeks later, after we got back from holiday, we were all asleep. Suddenly there was a massive banging noise coming from downstairs. We all woke up. We went downstairs. The washing machine had switched itself on. And during the spin, washing machines can move around maybe millimeters during a spin, but the washing machine had jumped out about 3 foot. And there was no explanation for it to go on. And so that kind of freaked us out, really. I went to see a local vicar. I was kind of religious back then, I went to church every Sunday and took communion and stuff like that. So I went to the vicar and I kind of talked to him about what had been going on. And he said that he would come to the house. And I think at that point I thought he doesn't believe me at all, but he's doing it just to kind of maybe give me peace of mind. So he came to my house after school one afternoon, and he came in and he walked around the house. He didn't really say much, and I said, Can you say like a prayer or something, or do you have any holy water on you?" And he went, No, I don't carry holy water on me like a bottle of water. I just don't have that, but I can say a prayer and everything. And he started just saying Lord's Prayer and some other prayers. I can't remember what they were. We went upstairs and we went into my bedroom, and he stopped talking. And I said, "What?" He said, "I don't like it in here at all." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I don't feel very welcome. And I think I should leave." And I went, "What? Really?" And I said, but okay, so do you believe me about what's been going on? And he said, "I believe it's you." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, I think it's you're something, there's something going on with you. And I said, "But I'm not doing these things. I'm not waking up and sleepwalking and doing these things." And he said, "No, I think there's something or someone with you." And I was like, "Okay, you're really creeping me out here, Vic. You're meant to be making me feel a bit better about what's going on, that it's going to be okay and it's all going to pass." And anyway, so he was like, "Well, he said, well, how's home life?" And not going into, deep into it, but back then, it wasn't great. There was a lot of negativity in the house and a lot of drama and everything. So he said, "Look," he said, "something maybe from your past, or something that maybe was living here before or on the land or something has been attracted to the turbulent emotions of not only me going through puberty," which I read as something about poltergeist and puberty, latching on or something, but not only are you going through emotional turmoil of, from a boy to a man and going through that, but he said there's a lot of negativity in this house, and that's whatever. He said, "I don't know what it is, but whatever is here is attracted to that, and you need to find a way to get some positivity in this house, or or when you feel that it's too much, just get out and get some fresh air and walk out. So that was it. And I never spoke to him again, or I never heard from him again. So I tried to be positive, and I didn't tell my parents about the vicar, coming to the house, because I'm not sure they would understand, or they might have freaked out or whatever. I guess about 6 months later, after 6 months, of seeing the vicar, nothing happened. I was trying to be positive, and when things did get bad and drama in the house, I kind of just took my way outside, and then for various reasons, I moved out the house, and that's it. It stopped. That was it, and I kind of forgot about it then, really, to be honest, until about 2001, actually, later 2001, I had a near-death experience. It's quite sensitive going into, but I had a near-death experience, and I had to be resuscitated with those paddles. And just for about, I don't know whether it was two seconds or 2 minutes, but I remember, I mean, it sounds cliche because you've heard the stories, but I found myself kind of floating in the hospital. It was in the hospital, and found myself kind of floating in the ceiling, looking down at myself. And then I was looking like behind me up into what was the ceiling, except that there was a, they say, I know it's a cliche now about, because you hear it in films, but I'm just being open and honest here. I saw it wasn't a bright light. It was just it was like a warm glow, and there was lots of, I would say, glowing orbs kind of thing, floating around. And then I heard a voice, and I can't, even for this day, there was a voice that said something, and I don't know what the voice was. Sorry, I don't know who it was or what the voice said. It said something. It said a sentence or something at me, and then suddenly, I gasped, and I was back on the bed in hospital, and I was, alive, and it's great. Mediums, psychics, and mediums that I've met, along the way doing this paranormal investigation stuff, have kind of honed in on me and said that they see something or someone that comes and goes. I think it's on my right shoulder, they say it is. And they said, you've been to a place that not many people have been to, and then come back again. And I was like, well, how the hell do you know that? And they said something happened. Were you in hospital, and you were dead, or you were alive, and you were alive again? And I was like, this is crazy. And they said, that's why you're a sensitive. Because they were saying, I've been to that plane, or whatever you call it, or the other place, the other side, and I've come back, and it's almost like I've touched that spiritual plane briefly, and I've been given the gift of, not mediumship or anything like that. Maybe that's something to think about in the future, but a way for me to sense, spirits, and whether they're male, female, children, good or bad. But one or two mediums that I met with said that whatever it is with me that sometimes is there and sometimes it's not, they said has been there since I was younger. So, I think they've helped me kind of connect the dots. So I don't know, for whatever reason, this episode happened when I was a teenager, and I don't know why it happened, what it was, who it was, whether it's connected to me, my past, the house, the land, whatever. And then having this thing back in 2001, I've then had this kind of connection, and sometimes on investigations, something does come through, and mediums say this is something to do with me, or guests have actually called out and said, on a Ouija board, or I haven't been on the Ouija board, but who do you want to speak to? And it's spelled out my name, or it's tapped out, or we've introduced ourselves in a circle, and I've said, my name's Greg, and there's a noise or something. That happens sporadically, but it's just weird, because sometimes for me, I find it a bit unsettling, because it's one of those things where I say I can pick up on whether it's good or bad, or this, whatever this thing is or person is that was there in my past and then in my future, I can't sense. It's really weird. I can't sense. I think it's a male presence, but I can't sense who it is, what it wants, whatever. And medium said sometimes it's there and it can bring a heavy oppression on you, and when it's there. And I thought, well, this is really weird, because I can sense when it's there, but I don't know. I've learned to live with it. So that's kind of my experiences. So it's nice to think that in one way I've one good thing that I didn't die, because I'm glad to be here. But in another sense, I went to a place for however many seconds or minutes, and that's given me some kind of gift. And maybe I was destined to, walk into the paranormal world. Maybe I was destined to do this, for a long time. Maybe there's a plan anyway for all of us. I don't know. It's just really weird. And it wasn't until maybe the last few years that, speaking to mediums and speaking to people, that I've started to kind of join the dots. And I don't know, maybe one day I'll know who this person is or what this energy is that tends to come and go. Maybe one day I'll find out. But yeah, so it's been interesting. But as I said, it's only recently I think, well, maybe it's all connected, and that's the reason why I'm doing the paranormal stuff now. So so becoming from a person who didn't believe in anything, a non-believer, to I wouldn't say I'm 100%. I'm almost there. It's just one of those things. And when I tell the story, I always have to say, it's not, I'm not being stereotypical, I'm not being cliche, but it's what I experienced. And if people want to believe me, that's lovely, and that's great. But I'm just open and honest, with it, because I don't think if I didn't have those experiences, I don't think I would necessarily, be in a place now doing what I do now, to be honest. So I'm kind of glad in a way things like that did happen.
Yeah, and from what that I've found out, and that some people, mediums and that, do say that some spirits, if you've got them next to you or anything, they just won't choose to show themselves to you, like the facial features and that, until they're ready. Yeah,
then that's what mediums have said. They've said to me, it's about 2 or 3 people who've seen this energy. It's always on my right shoulder. I don't know why, behind my right shoulder. And I've said to them, who do you see? What do you see? Do you see a shape, a figure? Do you see any definition? They say no. They just see an energy. They see a shape, a dark shape, but with no features. And I've said to them, is it? I don't want it to be bad, to be honest, because I don't want to have to deal with that. But is it? And they said they're not sure. They don't know. They're not sure. It won't, like you say, Sam. They're not. They're not even showing themselves to the medium. So I don't know. Maybe one day. The thing is, because of obviously doing the paranormal investigations professionally, and you don't get involved. You don't get involved on that side of the investigation. I'm not there to be selfish and go off and do anything on my own. And then even as a guest, if I go as a guest to a location, I'm there because I want to investigate the location. I don't want to be there suddenly saying, if there's someone with me, who are you? What do you want? Kind of thing. And then I don't particularly want to do that in my own home either. So it's a bit of a rock and a hard place, because I don't want to be. Excuse me, I don't want to be calling out in my own home. I don't really want that, because I don't want whatever it is or whoever it is. I don't want them to come in, feel that they can, just appear in my home, when they want to, or whatever. I'd rather, it's difficult. So that's why I'm hoping. That's why I'm hoping one day it will just come to me, or I'll be shown who it is, or a medium will go, do you know what? there's a person or there's an energy behind you, and they're this, they look like this, they're and then I'll know. But for the time being, I just deal with it. Really, it doesn't happen all the time. It's quite random, and sometimes I'm aware of it on investigations. But I just keep it to myself. Really, I don't discuss it really. But there you go.
That's the thing, though, isn't it, that you find, because, like you said, you don't, because especially if it's your event you're running, you don't want to kind of take over and be saying to the guests, "Well, I see this," and
Yeah, I mean, when we have investigations, we have breaks, like tea and coffee breaks, or whatever, to kind of regather our thoughts and have a bit of a break from everything. And if people do come up and ask me questions, about lots of things to do with paranormal, and I'm quite happy to discuss it with people. But when that's it, when we're doing vigils, it's that the guests have paid to come on an event, so the event is their event. They do, obviously we give guidance and have a kind of timetable, such as where we're going to go, what we're going to do, kind of have a bit of a plan for the night. But to be honest, it's over to them. It's what experiments they want to try out and where they want to go and what they want to do. So it's, that's inappropriate for me to suddenly come in and go, oh, do you know what? There's someone behind me, and they've been there forever, and and take over. That's one, unprofessional. It's unfair to the guests. So I'd never do that. But as I say, if people come to me on break times and have a chat with me, then and they say, oh, have you had any personal experiences or whatever, then I'm open and honest. If people want to know, then I'll tell them my experiences. But yeah.
And I suppose you don't want to say it as well, because then you don't want your guests thinking, oh, he's just saying it, to get us back, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's definitely not. Yeah, I'm not gonna do something like, oh my god, yeah, I'm gonna come back because like he's really interesting and he's got like an attachment, or oh my god. And I've said to people too, and I get frustrated. If guests want to come back, that's brilliant. My aim is, one, to give the guests a hell of a good night and laugh a lot, because laughing is great. Spirits love laughter and the energy that laughter gives out. Someone screams or someone, gasps or something, and and it's not spiritual, or just something they trip or something. We all laugh and everything. That's great energy. And I get frustrated as well and I hide it. I think I hide it very well. On events, if I'm hosting an event and I know that a location can, give it some.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. I get really frustrated, and I don't let on very well. But I say to them, look, I'm not there. I'm not there to, I'm there to try and hopefully persuade the spirits to come out and play. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And because I have to keep reminding them, it's not like the TV shows that they film over 24 hours or whatever, and it's all edited into, half an hour, 40 minutes of all that action. And I say sometimes you wait for 3 hours, nothing happens, and then something happens. You hear a noise or something you can't explain, and then those 3 hours are forgotten because you're then focusing on something you can't explain and something is exciting. So I just there's no point like pushing it. And I would never ever think about even considering about doing something or setting something up, like doing something fake or something, just them to go, oh my God, this happened at this location, I'm going to come back, and that was great.
Yeah.
That's why I say, it doesn't happen, because it's not always like that. And it's very difficult when you go to certain locations that I think, are maybe overdone, that are, there's people there all the time. I mean, if I was a spirit, if I was a dead person and I was hanging about this place because I loved it, and I had loads of people coming in 2-3 times every week, or 8 times a month going, oh, can you do something? Can you make a noise? Can you throw something? Can you talk in this? Can you set this off? And I'd get a bit, annoyed, to be honest. I'd get a bit peed off. And, and sometimes I'll be like, do you know what? I'm going to fold my arms and I'm not going to do anything for you tonight. And I'm going to think this place is not haunted. So some places are notorious for activity, but some places people come back disappointed. Because they expect things to happen, because some places have a notoriety that, makes them more active or more special than other places. But, it can't happen all the time. Having said that, there's some places I've been to multiple times that I'm just been very lucky that I've never gone away disappointed. But I always say to guests, look, first and foremost, we're here to have a good time. We're here to try lots of different ways of communicating with spirit. We're here to enjoy the location, the history of the location, and have some fun. If we get paranormal activity, stuff that we can't explain rationally, then I think that's the icing on a lovely cake for the night. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And I think people come back because they have a generally good time. They have a laugh. Yeah. They enjoy the people's company. They enjoy, the host, the team's company, and they enjoy the location. And if they experience stuff they can't explain, then that's excellent. And then they do come back because they've had a good night. So.
Yeah, and I think, I believe that some spirits have a choice. If they don't want to interact with you, you can shout as many questions out to him and try so many things, and they'll be like, nah.
Yeah.
That's nah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some places you read about, oh my God, it's so active. And you go and you might pick up on a name, or a medium might pick up the name, and you might call out the name 100 times that night saying, please come forward, please. Bang on something or do something. And you kind of, for me personally, I sense when these spirits go, do you know what? I'm not doing it tonight. I'm just not going to do it. However much you want me to, however much you beg me to even flicker a light or make a sound, I'm just not going to do it tonight. And then, a few months down the line, they might say, the spirit might go, do you know what? I'm going to kick off tonight. I'm going to show you what I've really got. So, and that's why I say to guests that, I know it's frustrating, but just imagine it's you. I say to them, imagine it's you. You're dead. And sometimes you want to go out and party, and sometimes you just want to stay at home and be quiet. And that's why I say to people, so.
Yeah, we've had saying about the party, and we've been in a location, a bar area before, and this spirit come in the room, and you could just smell ale, and we were all like gagging, and we're like, go out.
Wow,
it stinks.
It stinks. Yeah. I've been to a place where it was, the smell was, there was no smell in the room, and then suddenly there was just. It was really weird. It was in an old, kitchen in an old stately home. So you have the scullery and the main kitchen, and it's a museum. So you can go in the kitchen and everything's set out. You've got the original cooks and cookers and stuff like that. And we all at the same time. There's about 8 of us in this kitchen, and we all started to smell bacon. And then about 2 or 3 minutes later, we then saw a haze in the kitchen, like something was cooking. You got a haze of smoke, things burning. And it was just, it was just incredible. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, but having said that, the smell of bacon really just makes my mouth like saliva, and I do. It's awful. I love the smell of bacon, but it was just weird. So, there was it's a stately home. No one's cooking anything. The security guard is in the top floor. He's not cooking bacon. And anyway, how would the smell come down rather than go up? Because we were right in the kind of the basement area. the fact that people were, we were taking pictures and we were seeing this haze in the kitchen as well as smelling this bacon. And this went on for about 5 minutes until the smell just went away. And it was just really bizarre. I mean, it's one thing to hear stuff and feel stuff, but when you get the replay or the residual energy of food, of being cooks in the kitchen cooking bacon or gammon or whatever it might be, I just think that's incredible. And I haven't actually experienced that very much. People, like you say, like smelling ale or cigar smoke or food. I think for me, I haven't come across that very often in 11 years I've been investigating. I've only come across like something like that not very often. Maybe once, cigar smoke quite strongly a couple of times, and this bacon smell. But I think for me that's quite rare to get that, rather than the sound and the feeling, is to get the smell. And of being in that kitchen, it was quite something, actually.
Yeah, that's like with me. Like, I've been to this location a few times now, and the smell just doesn't come. So it's kind of like weird.
Yeah, it is because you just, as I said, you don't expect the smells to come along. And I was surprised that it stayed around, quite a long time, like 4 or 5 minutes at least. Sometimes you smell something briefly. Maybe because it's that spirit is walking past you and they're smoking a cigar, and that smell's gone. But it's kind of to get that smell going on for about 5 or 6 minutes was quite impressive, really. And again, there was no rational explanation of why I was smelling, and it was in the middle of nowhere. It was a big estate, manor house estate. So there was no rational explanation why I was smelling bacon, really.
Yeah. But like, I've known people on investigations where they've walked into a room and they're like, we can smell smoke. And then they're like, yeah, there was a fire in this room. Like, and you can see like, where it's been burnt and stuff like that. And that's really weird as well.
Yeah. Or for me, it's really weird when you go into a room and people start to smell, oh, can you smell those flowers? Can you smell the lilies? And I'm like, no, can't smell anything. Or they go, well, can you smell that? I'm like, no, can't smell anything. No. So that's quite funny. But then there's that theory about, some spirits want certain people or someone to smell that thing or hear that thing, but nobody else. I mean, on the other side, I've gone to a place where I've gone, wow, Jesus, what happened in here? This smells like shit, really. What's happened in here? And then was like, what? We're not smelling anything at all. We're not smelling anything. And I'm like, can you not smell that? It's awful. It smells like there's a sewer running through this house. And everyone's gone, no, Greg, you're... So, it works kind of both ways, and I think that works with sound as well. I mean, people think I'm nuts when I say, like, we could be in a location and I'm hearing tappings and knockings. And no one else is, and Greg, they like, Greg, you're, what's going on, because we can't hear it. And I truly believe in the theory that spirits communicate on a different level, different hertz, and they may want one person in that group to hear their voice or hear a noise and don't want anybody else to hear that. I mean, there was one time. In a place called Wimmering Manor in Portsmouth. I don't know if you heard of that.
Nope. Don't know if someone else has. I'm sure they'll say.
Yeah. So Wimmering Manor in Portsmouth. It's a higgledy-piggledy house, really. It's a little bit about it's a little bit. I say little bit like the Winchester Mystery House in California.
Yeah.
I think Ghost Adventures has been there a couple of times. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like. You've got a basement cellar that dates back to the 1300s, and you've got parts of the house that go through Tudor times and then to Victorian times. So it's kind of all higgledy-piggledy. But we were in the cellars, the kind of Saxon cellars, and we were doing some automatic handwriting. And I don't know, someone said something funny, and we all laughed, and I heard a really awful guttural laugh, like mocking laugh over what we were talking about. And I said, who was that? Who laughed? And they're like, what? And I said, someone else laughed, someone over our laughter. And I said, it was really horrible. And they said, no, nothing. And I said, the whole night long, and even at the end when we were doing the debrief, I said, blah, blah, blah. And I said, nobody heard that laugh. But luckily it was, we had video recording down there at the time. And then the person who went through the footage about a week later sent me a link, and they said, you need to listen to this. And they said, it's about when you heard a laugh. And I was a bit annoyed with them because they said, you should turn your earphones up as high as you can. So I did. So I'm hearing this, and I heard we laughing, and you hear, and then he broke the sound waves down, and then he separated this sound, this voice from ours, using software.
Yeah.
And there is a guttural, low laugh over our laugh. And I was elated. Well, one, I jumped out of my skin when hearing this laugh because I had my earphones on my own in the house at like 10 o'clock at night. So I jumped out of my seat. But I was elated as well because I then sent messages to these guests saying, excuse me, here's the link to this sound wave. And you can hear this EVP, you can hear this laugh. And I said, I did hear it and you didn't, but here it is. And have fun, enjoy, listen to it. So, so I don't know why I don't know why I was the only one who heard that. It was really freaked me out, but I'm just glad because people thought I was, nuts. They thought I was like, oh, Greg, you're hearing things. It was just one of us laughing. And I was like, no, it wasn't. It was definitely another laugh away from us. So I was really pleased to say to the group, look, I heard what I heard and here it is. So they were like, oh, sorry, Greg, sorry we didn't hear it. So that kind of like things like that is my kind of thinking about sometimes that spirits, energies, just maybe want to communicate with one person in the group rather than everybody, So,
have you ever had going on to that? Have you ever had like you hear voices and that and noises on the camcorder, but you don't hear them in person? Have you ever had that?
Yeah. So lots of investigations where we've been maybe asking out questions, and or just asking out for sound or taps or whatever, something to communicate with us, and we haven't heard at the time. And then when I've downloaded the footage and listened back, you hear answers and things like that. I mean, I remember going to a place in Derbyshire called Gresley Old Hall. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of that one, yeah.
Yeah, so we went there, and it's a pretty appalling, derelict site, to be honest. They had, like, black bin liners, gaffer tape to the windows. It's a shame, because from the outside, it looks quite a lovely old kind of Gothic building. But it was blowing a gale that night. So obviously the wind was just really strong around the whole building, and there was four of us split up. We went up to the top, the attic, and there was about four rooms in the attic, and I had my EVP recorder going, and at the time we were really disappointed because we were saying, look, if you can hear us, we'd like to ask you some questions, and if you can tap out 2 for yes, once for no, or something like that, to the questions, that'd be lovely. We'd love to know a bit more about you and why you're here. And I said, but you're going to have to bang really loudly because it's very windy and we can't hear anything. So we were there for about 5-10 minutes in this room, in this attic room, and we were asking questions. At the time, what we thought we didn't hear anything at all. So we were quite disappointed the night. A few days afterwards, I went through my digital recorder, and actually I was so shocked because for many of the questions we were getting taps, 2 for yes, once for no, we would get answers to many of the questions we were asking. So, I was so pleased because, I then, sent the recording to the other 3 people in the group, and I said, oh, look, we thought we had a quiet night, but to be honest, have a listen to this. You can hear all your answering, you're asking the questions, and for some of you, you'll hear the answers, because I think, to be honest, I think if it was the wind causing the knockings, we would have heard it real time, because it was so windy. But the fact that we couldn't hear anything on that night, but you could hear the knocks on the recorder, I think for me is good evidence. And the fact that they were answering certain questions correctly from my research. So from that was really good. So I think when you go away from investigations a little bit disappointed, if you've recorded anything, you don't have to use it to record it. You can use I always say to guests, you can use your phone if you want. Just listen back. Take the time out to listen back, because you just never know. It might be taps. You might actually get a whole sentence. You might get a word. So, when people say, oh, it was really quiet tonight, we were asking questions, we didn't hear anything. And I go, well, were you recording? And they go, oh, yes, but, probably won't get anything. And I went, no. I say, no. Go home, put some earphones on, be in a quiet room and listen back and see what you get, because you may be surprised. And I've had guests doing that. They might contact me like a few weeks or a month or a couple of months afterwards, where they've actually, had time to listen back, and they said, oh my God, Greg, you were right. We listened back and we got some taps, or we got a word, or we got a sentence, or a whispering or something, from the questions. And, that's really good for me, also, because they're probably thinking, oh God, what a quiet night that was. In reality, it wasn't. It's just we have to kind of go back and listen to what we've got, sometimes. Because sometimes it's hard for the spirits to actually have that energy to make, definite noises or a definite impact on the night.
Yeah. Well, Greg, it's that time. We've done a bit, because obviously, due to technical issues, we were a bit late. So yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe there was a gremlin in my. There's a gremlin in my computer.
Yeah. So, is there anything you'd like people to know, or?
Well, anybody who knows me from Fright Nights, the company Fright Nights, I've put a bit of a statement on my Facebook page, but I've said goodbye to Fright Nights Surrey. As obviously I've said earlier in the interview, I've moved down to Cornwall. Very exciting. I will now be running in the new year. I will be Fright Nights Cornwall, which is really exciting. I've been working very hard behind the scenes. I've already been in contact with quite a number of locations and places around Cornwall that have, reportedly strange happenings. Lots of myths and legends down here in Cornwall. I'm really excited, and what's really nice is a lot of people that came on my previous events are willing to travel all the way down to Cornwall. So I'm going to make it worth all your while for all your travelling, which I'm really honoured that some guests are going to travel all that way to do an event with us down here. So I'm going to be looking at doing weekend events. So like spending, basing ourselves in accommodation, and maybe doing 2 locations over one weekend. So I'm not going to give too much away, but there's some very special places I've found already for weekend events. So there will be a website and a new Facebook page coming in the new year, Friday Nights Cornwall, and lots of exciting announcements in the new year. Really excited to explore Cornwall and all its myths and legends and all its ghosts, and lots of witchcraft stuff down here as well, which I'm really excited about. So so keep an eye out. So lots of really exciting stuff to look forward to next year.
And I'll be excited to stalk your Facebook, Greg.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, when it's up and running. But No, I'm just so excited. One, to stay with the Fright Nights family, and two, I mean, as I said, things are meant to be in life, I think, and I think we're going to end up being spoilt for choice down here, and I can't give any names away, but I've got quite a couple of really good contacts in the professional paranormal world that know some kind of off the beaten path venues, some locations that haven't been investigated for a very long time, but are still reportedly like haunted and having strange things happening now. So there's going to be a lot of places that people may have never heard of or haven't heard of in a long time that will pop up as events. So I'm really, really excited. So here's to 2020 and Fright Nights Cornwall, and seeing some of you guys travel down and exploring and uncovering the myths and legends of this ancient county.
Sounds very exciting.
It is. I'm really, 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 really looking forward to it. So it's just the normal things now of waiting for emails and phone calls, and that's the hard part, is waiting for people to get back to you. But because things are slower down in Cornwall, the pace of life is a lot slower. But no, I've been to quite a few locations already and got great feedback, and there's some people that are very, very up for this. So so look out. But having said that, one place in Surrey that people might know who are listening, called Tanner's Hatch Cottage in the Surrey Hills. You might be glad to know that I'm going to be doing that maybe once or twice a year. Guests have asked me if I would host that event, Tanner's Hatch Cottage in the Surrey Hills. So I will be travelling all the way back up to the Surrey Hills, maybe at least once a year for a weekend event. So that will be advertised on the Fright Night Surrey Facebook page. So look out for that. But I'll be going back there because I've promised some lovely guests that I will host another event there next year. So look out for that. But other than that, it'll all be down here in the southwest.
Great stuff. So before obviously we say us goodbyes, I just want to thank everybody for listening to the PSH Radio Show this year. You can join us tomorrow, where Parasearch Radio will be live again with all the presenters as we look back on 2019 and look forward to 2020. So it's a good night from Greg.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Sam and Kerry, for inviting me back. It's been a great evening. Thanks, guys, for listening. I'll be looking back at any questions you've answered and answer them. But thanks, guys, and happy Christmas. Best wishes for the new year, and hopefully see some of you very soon next year.
Yeah, and it's a good night from me, guys.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.